For more on this, let's bring in California Republican Congressman Darrell Issa, who joins me now to discuss the latest on this and other topics. Congressman, welcome.
Well, thank you, Mike, and thanks for having me on. And thanks, quite frankly, for covering what the mainstream media is getting wrong. MS-13 and this deportee he's in the country of his birth, which he came from illegally, claiming that he had a credible, when just the opposite. He is a reason to be afraid.
Well, what is your reaction to that federal judge saying that he must be returned from El Salvador to Maryland as soon as possible?
Well, there's an old expression in federal court, which is the difference between God and a federal judge is God doesn't think he's a federal judge. But this federal judge is far exceeding his jurisdiction. Once that individual is outside the United States, he is not a subject of a district court. And realistically, he may hold the president in contempt, but I have a hard time believing he can enforce it with a U.S. attorney. But more importantly, the question that we're running into constantly is these judges that are called district court judges, their jurisdiction is supposed to be within their district for individuals or their representatives that come before them. And these national orders and international order in this case exceed their jurisdiction. There's a reason we have a Supreme Court created by the Constitution and district courts created by Congress. There's a difference.
U.S. District Judge James Boasberg sounds like he is thinking about holding some Trump administration officials in contempt for refusing to stop those deportation flights to El Salvador. The New York Post editorial board's calling on Boasberg to recuse himself from trial, quote, "But the brazenness and ugliness of the conflict here should set everyone's alarm bells ringing. Recuse yourself now, Judge, before you embarrass yourself and the profession any further." Is this judge interfering with the power of the presidency and the executive branch?
Well, he lacks the perception of neutrality and fairness, and particularly when a second case comes to the chief judge and he pretends that it's by accident. The chief judge, Boasberg, in this case, he controls who gets cases, and the idea that it was purely random simply doesn't pass the sniff test. So yes, he should recuse himself. He should let another judge begin making these, so at least the appearance of a neutrality and fairness would be reestablished. But again, these judges are exceeding their jurisdiction when they do these national injunctions, and it's got to stop.
A CNN legal expert is warning that DOJ attorneys are hurting their credibility on the deportation issue. I want to play it and get your reaction to it.
This is like decades and decades of credibility that Justice Department lawyers have built up with judges, that they're forthright, they give the judges the information they're seeking. They are obviously destroying that credibility. So you have to wonder, these mid-career and senior officials, are they going to go in and destroy their own reputations by doing this?
What's your reaction, Congressman?
My reaction is, after 4 years of the last administration weaponizing DOJ, the credibility is clearly gone. If anything, the Trump administration, because they are going after criminals, they are seeking the best and the hardest punishment for them when they get them. That's what they should be doing and should have been doing for the previous 4 years. So people who say they're losing credibility are missing the point. They lost credibility. They're getting it back by doing their job. And yes, MS-13 is a terrorist organization. They operate in my district here in San Diego, and they kill for a living. And they are, in fact, exactly the kind of organization that caused minorities to vote for Trump to help clean up their neighborhoods of these other migrants, yes, but migrants for crime, not migrants for a better life.
You have a bill to rein in rogue judges. Why is that necessary, and how would it work?
Well, by the end of the month, you're going to see 100 cases where individual district judges have ordered national injunctions. That's 100 cases that people say, well, we'll just resolve it by going to the Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court took 62 cases last year. Imagine 100 extra cases all having to go to the U.S. Supreme Court to undo the damage of a national injunction. So what we're doing is bringing back to the original definition of a district court judge. The judge may rule, in most cases, only on the plaintiffs in front of them for the district that they are assigned to represent. And once two districts rule, sometimes differently, the Supreme Court may choose to take up a case. But Mike, if I can take just a moment, in October of last year, the Solicitor General for the Biden administration argued that these national injunctions were wrong because the administration could win 16 times and lose once and have a national injunction. That has carried over now into the new administration. It was wrong last October when Biden's people argued against it. It's wrong now. And on a bipartisan basis, we should bring an end to it.
Now, on your bill, one day will you not like it if Democrats try to rein in conservative judges?
We've fashioned this bill to be very specific so that, yes, they will be able to rein in somebody who shops for a judge to get what they want, overly broad. We did keep the ability for multi-states, such as attorneys generals, coming in, 15, 16, 20, 50 of them, and joining a single case and then expediting it to the Supreme Court. So we've thought that out because, quite frankly, it's got to work in this administration and the next administration equally well. And we believe it does. And that's why we fashioned it in the way we have.
Congressman Darrell Issa of California, thanks so much. Look forward to seeing you back here on the Hill.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.